My name is Maria.
All right. And you were a police officer, and
Diane, I worked at 911.
okay, Kathy.
Kathy.
And you were in the farming business, right?
And a lot of other things.
A lot of other things. Okay, and I'm Kathy. All right, so we're glad. This is Gabbin with Grandmas, and we have a few that couldn't make it today, but we're here and we're still going to talk. And so the subject that has been thrown out today is, go ahead, you lead off.
You've been seeing a lot of it in the news and social media that Christian people are hated. They don't like trans people. They don't like gay people. They don't like this. They don't like that. And to me, that's just not accurate.
That's right.
It's not accurate.
Okay. So what is your thoughts when you see that kind of hate and things like that?
It bothers me because I'm not like that.
Yeah.
I know some people that are gay and I love them to death. They're such nice people. I may not believe in that, but that doesn't mean that I hate them.
Right.
You know, I wish them well and I want them to not live that kind of lifestyle, but that's not my choice. But I still love them.
Yeah.
And I want the best for them.
Yeah.
And that just bothers me. I don't like when people generalize.
Yeah, I think that probably that is the case, that there's too much generalization going on. And I think the line comes when there's not full acceptance and affirmation, that somehow that means that I don't love you, and that's not really the case. I saw a video this morning, and it's wild that you're talking about this, but there's an organization called Changed. Have you seen that video? So they have these black shirts and they have Changed on them, and they are all detransitioning, or they all have been radically changed by Jesus Christ. No one has forced them or anything, but they've been radically changed by Jesus Christ, and they get up there and they tell their stories, and they tell about their trauma, and they tell how they got into it, and there's people right now that are testifying on Capitol Hill about how they were mutilated as children, and they were not told the truth. So they're seeing now that there's been some lies that are out there. Yeah. So what about you, Diane? What do you think?
I think, I don't condone the sin. As Christians, we don't. But I don't hate anybody, even people that's wronged me. I forgive them, and you move on. But it's like, but the media is portraying Christians as they're hateful. They don't want to go along with anything. They have their own beliefs. Why can't we have ours? Well, it's the same thing. I'm a Christian, and I should be able to talk about my beliefs and what I feel is right. And I've just got to go by God's word. Yeah. If it's in the Bible and it says you don't do this, I try not to do it. I'm gonna mess up, yeah, but I don't hate anybody. I just don't like that lifestyle because it's wrong. And I want to see everybody in heaven. I don't want anybody to go to heaven. Never. That's a terrible thought to think that somebody that's going to.
I think that's where the rub comes, is using words like sin and going to hell. But if you see someone who is, it's not just that one. It's any of the things that get us off into that area. A lot of times we just marry everything as that's the worst one. That's not. And we all have a choice to be obedient or not be obedient in everything in our lives. Yeah. So have you ever experienced any interaction where your eyes are kind of open to different views or change, or people's hearts on an individual level in that arena?
I've planted some seeds. I don't know. I still don't know, but I've had people like Maria that friends are gay. I don't believe in their lifestyle, but I still treat them just like I would anybody else.
Mhm.
You know, they've made a wrong decision, and I just try to help them, give them my point of view. It's like this devotion I had this morning was, you know, be an example. Want people to follow your example. You know, how we act and what we do and how we behave in situations. You know, I'm not gonna condemn somebody because of it. That's not my job. But it is my job to tell them about Jesus.
Tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Kathy? What are your thoughts?
You're gonna meet all types of people, you know, and all you have to do is just love them. We have some in our family that are in that lifestyle, and they know that they can talk to us, and they know we love them and we accept them, but we don't agree with what they, you know, they do, and we say, you know, everybody has the right to live the way they want, but, you know, I wouldn't say that it's any greater sin than any other sin, because God says sin is sin. You know, we have a tendency to say, well, we murdered, so, and I just stole. You know, sin is sin, and whether we, you know, do that lifestyle or not, we're sinners, and we can just tell my opinion that, you know, that's not, God doesn't like that, and you're hurting him. He loved you. He, you know, sent his son to die for you. And now I sow the seed, and, you know, the Holy Spirit has to take, you know, control of it, and just pray. When people are like that, I just, you know, try to love them, and then I just say, you know, Lord, it's in your hands, you know, help me to sow the seed, to tell them that, you know, I know some people, you know, change and think that that's going to be a better lifestyle for them, but it's not a lifestyle. It's a relationship with Jesus Christ, and that's what we really have to say. You know, not, you know, we're all going to make mistakes, even after we're saved. We make mistakes. Lord, we make mistakes sometimes every day, and that, you know, God is a loving God, and He sent His Son, and He loves you. He doesn't like what you're doing, just like I don't like what you're doing. You know, and just leave it in God's hands.
Well, I work with mostly college age that are dealing with identity issues. And in the beginning, I will say that, you know, I had my opinions and that kind of thing, and I might have led with my opinions. But then I started realizing that these people are lonely and they're hurting and they need someone to love them well. And I've had several women that were coming out of lesbianism that were, you know, in their 30s and 40s. And what happened was they went to a church. I'll say the name of the church, Experience Church. They went, and I was impressed because they said what they did was they loved me well. And that's the balance of loving someone well when you don't agree with what's going on and you know that they're hurting themselves. And if they're your family, that's even the more of an urgency to get them to understand the love, but that's the thing that pushes them away too. And loving someone well and telling them the truth is the balance. How do you, I mean, that's the thing that makes us hated, which is the same thing when Jesus was on earth. You know, he just told them the truth, and it made him hated.
I really like that, loving them well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm gonna remember, that love, just love them well.
Yeah. Well, if we got to get off of the thing that we're looking at. Okay, so if somebody comes to you and you get a chance to minister to them, don't look at the thing that is the action. That is not the root. The root is that somewhere they have not felt loved well, and they have not felt that someone accepted them for who they are. But then it's the same thing if somebody is going to say in your family they're going to be an alcoholic, okay? And I know there's people out there who get really mad that I just put those two on the same plane. Okay, we're gonna make somebody mad with this topic either way. But if somebody comes to my house and they're drunk and they say they wanna, you know, if say Diane, you say you came to my house and you're drunk, you say, hey, I wanna take Hannah out for lunch. Well, it's a heck to the no, you know, and I'm gonna say, no, Diane, honey, I love you, but you know, I wanna go get you some help because I cannot believe you're driving right now. I'm going to take you home. I'm going to get you into bed and get somebody to watch you, make sure you're okay. That's what loving well is telling someone the truth and helping them get out of crisis. But they've been lied to by this world that if they will transition or they will give into it full board, that they all of a sudden their mental health will be good.
Fix it.
They'll be accepted by God, they'll be happy, and then what's happening with this change group, they actually are finding, I have a belly full and I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. I still want to commit suicide. I still want to hurt myself. And that's what happens when God lets things, any kind of thing, go full bore. We figure out, oh, that's not what I really want. But how when you were in the police department in California, what was that like with this? Because in California, they're kind of leading the way in this, you know, full affirmation, full acceptance. And
Well, I'm sure I retired several years ago, but we didn't work in a big city. Yeah, it was big enough, but it wasn't like LA. I didn't work out in that area. So we didn't see a whole lot of that. We would see a little bit of that. I did see a young boy and talked to him. He was under 18 because he did tell me he wanted to go to Hollywood. But his mom wouldn't let him, but he was dressing in women's clothing. When I stopped him and told him, you can't dress like that out here because once people find out what's underneath the clothing, they're gonna beat you up.
really?
They're not gonna like it.
Oh,
Out
you
in
mean like
Hollywood.
Oh, really?
It's
Then,
different,
but not
he
now.
lived out in a certain part of Hollywood where they have a lot of people that dress and are gay and they're more accepted there.
Oh,
They're
okay.
in their own little community, but out where I worked, we didn't have really any of that, hardly any of that, so that would have not gone over well.
Well, today when this guy was giving his testimony, he said he was a prostitute. He was a drag queen prostitute, and now he loves Jesus. And he said he had over 50,000 partners. How did you calculate that? But he said that I realized that there was one man in this whole world that loved me enough to chase me down to the cross. And that was the only man that mattered. And so Jesus is dropping down on people and changing their hearts. We don't have to do it. All we have to do is just let them introduce them to him, and then let him do the work. It's like anything.
It's just like, I'm not gonna save anybody.
No.
You know, all I can do is plant the seeds and, like you said, love them. And it's not just about the guy. It's anything that goes against my beliefs and what Bible backs up and tells us, this is what you're supposed to do and this is what you can't do. Well, you
Well,
know,
you can. You
You
can
can,
to your
but-
own detriment. Yeah.
but I do not want to disappoint God.
Yeah.
You know, I pray every day that everything I do today will bring honor and glory to Him. You know, and like I said, some days I do real good at it, and some days I just have to, whoops, I'm sorry, you know, sit down and pray about it.
But the thing is, as Christians, we know that whether we're on the mountaintop or whether we're in the valley, or a storm, He's with us. And I have to always think about, when the disciples were on the boat and it was going all over the place, and God was back there just chilling out, and they woke them up. And I thought, I would probably be the same way as them, but I was looking at things, I say, He's going to let anything happen to Himself. He's there with us,
And you can resurrect.
yeah, so, He's there, He's going to take care of us. He sent His Son. And I don't know if I told you this, but when I was going through my miscarriage, I thought to myself, as I look back, you know, we don't think about God, how he felt. You know, he was always, they were always together. And that sin, my sin, everybody's sin, was passed on him. And he couldn't look at him. Can you imagine how his heart broke? You know, we might lose our child or our loved one, but that isn't, I mean, he knows what that is, because that must have really hurt him for that time to turn his back for his first time. How would you feel that you know, as somebody did something to you, your child, or your grandchild, and you turned your back on them, you know? And, you know, that's what God had to do. And I would just think that, you know, it's just, what we go through is just mild compared to what the two of them went through. We always think about, you know, Jesus, and, you know, and believe me, it's, you know, I know he suffered, but, you know, we just don't think about God. And if he did that, God the Father and God the Son, he loves everybody. And I thank God every day that he's not a God of just one time, but he's several times. You know, when he goes to the Bible and he says, how many times should we, you know, sin and forgive? And he said 70 times 70. And he does it way beyond that for us. And I just thank the Lord, and I say, you know, what did I do to deserve your love?
So you bring up a really good point, because what happens a lot of times is we get our eyes on the sin and not the grace that Jesus showed on the cross for us as well.
Right.
I've been guilty of it. We've all been guilty of it. We get into this thing where we're very passionate and we want to persuade. We want to persuade because we do believe that if this person continues along this path, that this is going to be painful, and we're trying to stop the pain. But if you take the gay thing out and you just put it in sexual sin, okay? If you just do a whole blanket statement of sexual sin, well, this culture has been messing up with that a long time. I mean, you can watch literally any show now, or any movie. There's even a TV show right now that is disgusting that I have not watched, but they show the commercial on Hulu every single time. This girl, every time she has sex in any connotation, she times jumps to another place. And so the whole thing is about her encounters. The whole show is about that. And they cross all gender lines and all freakishness and everything to do that, according to commercials, it looks like. But that's the kind of culture we're in. If once you let the cat out of the bag, then now it's like, okay, so I'm no longer somebody who's no longer a pedophile. They are a person who is, yeah, they actually have a new name for it. The name is, do you know the name?
Child lover or something like
Yeah,
that.
child attractive or something like that.
Attracted person or
Yeah,
something.
child attracted person or something. So what they do is they change the words and make it more lovely, when really it's just as disgusting and even more so. So where does the bottom fall out for all this? If you start saying that this could be and that could be, and you know, we have people now that drag queens and going into libraries and children, and
Yes, yeah.
parents are saying this is okay. And
That's not okay.
Yeah.
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 If they want to do that, you know, go to your drag shows and do it. Don't include children. I think children are off limits.
well, it's sexualizing our next
Yeah,
generation,
because then
and it's confusing
it's normal
them. And
acceptable, and pedophilia. Now you don't have anybody on that has to register as a sex offender.
What? Really?
I think in California they did some kind of law, and I don't know the circumstances on it, but it has to do with the age. The person, the predator, doesn't have to register as a sex offender. I'm thinking that is just wrong, and they're trying to make it normal, because I know some things are going to be coming out that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be found out to be pedophiles, and
Wow.
you know, let's have the law in place first. So now we're not doing anything wrong. This is acceptable.
We need to let children be children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let them grow up and
They don't
the
even
joy
know
of being a
about
child.
what sex is, so why are we trying to put them in a category of
Yeah,
identity?
And what kindergarten
yeah.
child thinks, oh, I should be a man or I should be a woman?
No,
Yeah,
they
that's-
think I like to play with dolls, I like to play with trucks.
Yeah, they
It
want to
doesn't
be
matter.
Batman half the time.
Let's
Yeah.
let's go out on the swings and you push me and then I'll push you for a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
cowboys and Indians, I was always the cowboy, or I was never like a little squaw. I wanted to be the one, pow, pow,
Mhm.
you know? And I played with the boys.
Yeah, well, when I grew up, there was only, there were 2 or 3 other girls, all of us was boys, and in my family, on my mom's side, I'm the only, daughter, girl, and, the oldest, and, so, you know, what are you gonna play? Dude, they're not gonna play with Barbies when we were growing up, you know? And so it was known as a tomboy, but
That's just normal.
yeah, and I have taught, you know, kids, and I've seen little boys, you know, put on little things, and I had a cousin, and my cousin was really upset. She has 3 boys, and the middle boy was always going around putting her shoes, her high heels on and everything. She went to the doctor, and she goes, "We got a problem," and he goes, "No, he's seeking, you know, testing the waters, and, you know, he's fine today, you know, he's married, we got kids." But, you know, it's just like, you know, they see things and they pick them up and they play with them. You know, I've seen them in, you know, kindergarten and, you know, I mean, you know, and in, nursery, you know, they pick up things, they don't, you know, like,
They don't know it's
right,
normal.
they're
Don't know
they're testing the waters, you know, they're
curious.
seeking, yes, they're curious.
That's fine.
But today, you know, I said to my husband, I said, you know, I was a tomboy, and I said, today they would say, you know, you should have been a boy, you know, trapped in a girl's body. And I say, no, you know, you can't do that. But I've heard of people doing that to their kids.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and that's not right.
Once a little boy picks up a doll, right away they want to transition. Oh,
Right.
you know what? It's a girl.
Hey, we all played with you know,
Yeah.
boy stuff, and they played with
Girl
girl stuff.
stuff.
We didn't care if it was
It's
a boy or
just a
girl. We
toy.
was outside just playing, having a good time.
Yeah.
And we played outside till dark, and then mom,
Call us
come
in.
on.
Yeah. One of the people she was a beautiful lady, and she was saying, I'm an ex-lesbian. And they held up the most gorgeous pictures you've ever seen. She said, if God had not gotten a hold of me, I would have missed the most amazing blessings of my life. And one was her wedding photo. It was stunning. And then the other one was her kissing her husband. It was a wedding photo of them. And the other 2 were her 2 beautiful children. And they were large pictures, and they rolled them out. And she's telling her story. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. You know, so what's going on right now is the people, these kids that were lied to, they're starting to come forward and saying, I've got lifelong issues now. And the doctors helped me because they had an agenda. You know, like if they, and the biggest one I heard this week, and you can speak to this, was in California, I think it's in California, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they are allowing, there's 300 and something males who are saying, I now identify as a female and I want to be put into female prison. And they've already let in 33, and there are 300 more candidates that will probably take over. Some of them are, many of them, 33% are violent sex offenders, rapists.
So they're going over there.
They're going to go over there, and so they asked the person. They said they were testifying. How many women want to go to the men's prison? 0.
Exactly.
0.
Because I'm sure it's easier in the women's prison than it is in the male's prison.
How
It's
in
just
the
like-
world? I mean, that's just like putting them on, what's that island where they put all the prisoners in the Mad Max or something? What was it, Avatar?
Oh.
No, there's some futuristic movie where they put all the prisoners on one island and they kill each other. That's kind of what it was like.
Well, this is just like the trans women that are in the women's sports. You
Yes.
don't see any women that are transitioning to a male, going to a male
Yeah, because
sport
they won't, it
because
won't
they
be
couldn't
advantage.
compete.
Did you hear that they are talking about that, the stage that we're not gonna say, we're, trans, anything, but she said the boys should not be able to go with the girls. And that makes sense to me, whether they got more, muscle and stuff. And my kid goes up there and they, goes against them and knocks them down. It's like, it's going to hurt, it's going, but they don't get that. They go, oh no, these people need to, it's always they need. So I told my husband, I said, I got a perfect fit. Just all those type of boys, let them have their own team.
Only, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're even slipping into like boxing and wrestling.
Yeah.
So that is just basically female abuse, if you think about it.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Well, there
just-
was the one, the trans woman that, broke that girl's jaw?
When did that happen?
A while back.
Oh, really?
But then there was another fight that, I'm going to say he's a he because he is a he.
Right?
He
You
fought
just got,
another
you
one,
just got us a
and the
negative
gal
comment.
won, but people are saying that looks rigged because they wanted the girl to win because they wanted to say, oh, no, they're equal, look at she won. It looks like he gave it to her.
Yeah.
Did you
She
see
got
the
it.
Did you see the swimming one where they tied the girl? She had been swimming since she was
Is that
4.
the Riley Gaines?
Yes, and at the end they only had one trophy, and for optics they gave it to him,
Oh.
even though she had really earned it. She had really worked for it. So they're starting to speak up.
Yeah, a lot of these women, I've heard things that, I think there was a cycling race.
Oh,
And
yeah,
the
yeah,
women,
yeah.
the women refused to enter. And I'm thinking, good for them.
Yeah.
Because you can't race against nobody.
And as women, we've worked hard to, and
To get to where
to
we're
get to
at.
where we are,
It
and
just
we've
seems-
broken every glass ceiling. Now we find out that there's actually
Going
men
backwards.
who have broken the, who is it, Caitlyn Jenner's, I mean, that, I didn't realize that was a transition person that he's with. I mean, she's beautiful. She looks like, he's beautiful, looks like Ivanka Trump. But she's listed as this person that broke the glass ceiling, first female of a Fortune 500 company. And I'm like, but she's a he. So a female didn't break the glass ceiling. That's the confusion that's
They're
going
just
on.
trying
Let us women be women. We, especially our generation, we worked really hard to get, like, we don't want to be, oh yeah, we're better, but we want to be equal. We want to be paid the same as
We
a
just want to
man.
be accepted for who we are.
Accept us as a woman,
Which leads back to what we were talking about, what they're saying, just accept us for who we are. Just, we've gotten so far up in the weeds, what's going to happen is we're going to have to snap back at some point.
Yeah.
We can't just keep going in this direction. All right, so we're going to wind up this one, and then we'll probably kick back into the same topic on the next one, just be continuation, and then slide into something else, okay? All right, so say bye.
Bye.